Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Money, love. One gets elevated while the other is both sought after and judged, sometimes in the same moment. My teacher used to say that on the metaphysical level, love is the highest vibration, and that money is the highest vibration in the physical. My guest today, Dame Maria Simone, knows a thing or two about this. Get cozy and join us for some deep inspiration about how the right use of money brings transformation to the planet. Hi, I'm Maria Simone, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and founder of the Baka Journey, fast-track technology for your co-creative power. For visionaries, innovators, company founders, and product designers, optimize your ability to create more in less time and enjoy every minute. My guest today, Dame Maria Simone, is a soul impact and profit catalyst who has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years to help them create meaningful and prosperous businesses, especially in helping them access financing and other resources necessary for growth. If you have a business, you want it to grow. Maria is the co-founder and president of Zen Moose Capital, with one of the sweetest logos I've ever seen. A social impact fund that creates and invests in transformational media and technology. She is a founding member of the Association of Transformational Leaders and was knighted Dame by the Knights of the Orthodox Order of St. John. If we have time, I want to ask you about that. But to Maria, money is the spiritual energy that is most abundantly experienced when it is in circulation for the highest and best good for ourselves, our community, and our planet. Entrepreneurs who realize this have a tendency to create the greatest and most sustainable success. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, Lori. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted you're here, and I'm excited you're here. I feel
Let's
like
talk about money.
Yeah. Money is not something that we talk. Yeah, money and love and fun and business and creating. So
Absolutely.
I'm all about creating. And money, people often talk about money as the block. They talk about money as, oh, if I only had more, then I could do this. So it's the stumbling block. Or, well, I have some money, but I don't know the best way to really use this for the good of what's needed in the world.
Okay.
So let me start with this, not so much asking you to answer that or to solve that conundrum, but how did you come to this place where you have this, what I see as a really deep understanding about the truth about money?
Well, actually, growing up, I had a situation where it was kind of like the haves and the have-nots. So half of my family were wealthy. The other half, I came from a family of immigrants from Italy. And so there always seemed to be a kind of a power struggle for money, very subtle, and I love my family. And, but these are old beliefs that were transferred to me. You can imagine money is the root of all evil, but the people who have it have all the power, that. So it was always that yin and yang going back and forth. So I didn't realize it, but I didn't have such a great relationship with money. And I entered into more of a corporate world where I had a successful career in corporate, and I always had budgets and staff. And so I had what I need to do to create success. So it never really came up, and I was always making money because I always had salary. But what happened was 20 years ago, I decided to start my own business. And I just thought all that success would translate into business, my own entrepreneurial success. Mm-hmm. And one thing I didn't understand was that a new business makes this profound sucking noise. You need to feed it, right? You can't ignore it. It has to be fed.
Right.
And I wasn't listening. I was trying to not listen. I was trying to make do without. And that's the big thing, right? I'll make do without, or I can do it, and I'll just work harder, and I'll earn my way to success, kind of thing. But I really was undercapitalized because we were growing really fast. And because I knew how to market, I knew how to do the business. I had 12 employees, but I knew how to do everything. But I didn't bring in enough capital to take care of getting over that apex, that hump of success, to get into that level of success. And we were doing it. And I noticed there was a lot of judgment. I was judging myself for not having money, enough money, even though I was growing a successful business. So there's a lot of judgment or shame. So all of that started coming up, and until eventually I was able to grow the business and successfully sell it. In fact, I couldn't wait to get out of it. And I think I left too much on the table because of that. But I turned around, I look back and I said, oh my gosh, what was that? Like, it was so confronting to me, the whole concept of financing and having to speak to people about money and not having enough, and what it did for me, how I was judging myself. And so I just became intrigued by that. And I just really had an understanding. First of all, I realized, wow, this is all about me, because I was the common denominator here. I'm the one with the issues, because I was blaming, and this is another thing, we tend to blame the people around us. Oh, they don't get it. There's not enough money, out there. I don't deserve it. All this stuff was happening. But I kind of put it outside of me until I reconciled that there's actually plenty of money. There's more than enough money. In fact, I always say the money has never left the planet. There's plenty of it circulating and going around. And it was really my issue about receiving, about asking for it, accepting it, becoming aligned with it. And so that was the start of my journey many years ago. And so I realize as individuals, and, if you want to say that's my spiritual platform as well, because we don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, everything is perfect. I think I want a transformation today. We're usually confronted with something. It's either health or relationship. I chose business as a platform because there's nothing as confronting in your life, right? As having to pay bills and getting into a situation where you may have gotten over your head, or you feel like you're all alone or isolated, or feel like you're going to fail. I mean, there's so much confronting entrepreneurs.
It's the best vehicle for learning about yourself, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think it's fascinating. And it really, if you do it right, you're going to become an amazing, transformed person, and you get a paycheck, and you have success in it. So I kind of like the perks.
I think I like those perks.
So I reconciled, myself to money. I actually learned a couple of things, and really understanding the money as an energy, and it is like love. And really it's not from outside of us. It's really, we create that energy, that just like love, you give love to get it. And people don't always get that about money. And so you have to, once you become aligned with it and reconcile that, then you start circulating your money energy more. And it does come back, and it may not come back from the same exact place, but it does circulate back to you. And this is biblical. I mean, there's so many references to this, 100-fold, and it's very true.
Yeah, I know. When I feel tight about money, whenever I feel, it's a tightness in my body.
Yeah.
And it feels awful. And what I notice is that I have separated myself from the connection that I usually have with the universe. So I can't receive on any level. I can't receive love. I can't receive money, because I've tightened in some area. And I've just said, whatever the message is, I've said no instead of yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to frame that. And also there's a fear about it. People, there's a lot of fear about money and what it does and having it. And, especially if you're more spiritually inclined, and, there's still that separation between having a spiritual life and having a success, financially successful life. And to me, there is no separation. I totally reconcile that. And I always point to people, I said, to me, one of the richest women on the planet, to me, has always been Mother Teresa. If you look at how, and it wasn't her, I'm not talking about her personal wealth, I'm talking about how she circulated money. When you really look at it, she circulated billions of dollars throughout her life. But the point is, it wasn't about accumulation, it was about circulation. And so that money would go into her charities and help feed the poor and all of that. But it was money that she circulated. It would come in and she circulated back, like there was that energy.
Yeah.
It's the same energy we can have in our life. We can do it into our own, with our own businesses and projects. It doesn't have to be a charity or nonprofit.
Right.
So it's a good thing. To me, it's a good thing. I love it.
Well, circulation is essential. And it's something I talk about actually often. I think about that in relationship to the word Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. We give thanks so that we can receive as well. And so there's that or the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath.
Right.
We breathe in and we receive the breath, and then we give forth what's needed by the plant kingdom.
Right.
So circulation is pretty darn key. So what would you say to an entrepreneur or someone who has a dream of helping a lot of people? What would you say about making a profit or making an impact?
Well, I really think in this day and age, I believe that one of the purposes of any business in this, we're living in more of an enlightened society. We have a higher consciousness on the planet. Mm-hmm. And so I really believe that every business should look at making an impact. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. In the past, they have been. And, and ironically, even when we speak to investors, there are still many investors who believe I'm going to put my money into something that is so, it's going to be as profitable as possible. And then I'll take my profits and I'll give it away. I'll become philanthropic. Like there's still that disconnect.
Yeah.
And however, so that's one end of the spectrum. On the other end, we have very socially responsible businesses that are doing great things, but they're operating as if they're nonprofit, and that's not sustainable. So I really, and this is part of our mission of Zen Moves Capital, is at anybody I work with, we look at both. So we want maximum impact and maximum profit. You cannot have, it's not sustainable to your business to not have that. And you can do it. You can, you can see, how can we, when you look at your business concurrently, yes, this is a good thing, but how are we going to monetize that? And it's not mutually exclusive, and it's not all about the money. But once again, money is an energy that wants to circulate. So what is the impact? What are the good things you're going to be circulating out there? So it's really important to take a look at that. So one end of the spectrum is just make as much money as you can. Another end of the spectrum is let's just do a lot of good things and, see what happens. And it's not about the money. It is actually, you can make it about the money. It's perfectly acceptable to make it, to create profitability. Because when you do that, and that's gets into another, aspect of it, when you take responsibility, you have a community you'd like to serve, you want to achieve, as much impact in that positive impact in the community. It's not a narcissistic thing. You want to do as well as you can for that community. You have then an obligation to be as profitable as you can so that you can create sustaining success for your community. You don't want to become a burden to your community. And so, I think we have I think at this point in our lives, entrepreneurs really need to look at both. So you want to have maximum impact, maximum profit. You also want to look at, using, and if you haven't thought about your business as an impact vehicle, I highly recommend that you retool it for that, because this is what people respond to now. Investors, consumers, and I don't like the word consumers either. Your partners, your clients, your stakeholders, people will respond to that light coming from your business, and that actually will help drive its success as well. So yes, totally both, I believe. The long answer to your short question.
No, it's a great answer, Maria, because you're starting to, I think, come right up against people's judgment and, their mindset and their own kind of wonderings about why am I doing this and how am I supposed to survive, let alone thrive.
And they have they become a martyr to their cause and to their business, and that's not necessary, because you want to be healthy, you want to be whole, you want to be able to do your work and do your dream for a long time. There's people that are waiting for that, so you have an obligation to take care of yourself. Put the oxygen mask on yourself.
Exactly.
And so don't. I did that in my business. I sacrificed my personal well-being. I nearly went personally bankrupt in my first business as a result of that, because I kept putting on my own resources. I was working really hard. I didn't know that I deserved, like I had some kind of self-worth and deserving issue around receiving money, because I felt like I had to do it all myself. And, look at the old cliches. An entrepreneur has to wear many hats, put your nose to the grindstone. Like, what's that about? And it's not, but here's the deal. It's not necessary. If you step out and you declare that I want to be a profitable business and I want to have maximum impact, then the money actually starts flowing, because there's a lot of people that there are trillions of dollars circulating in investment dollars and resources for businesses. And once you start making those declarations and you put yourself out there and you have the capacity to receive, which is a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
We could spend another 2 hours talking about that.
But this is my world, that people will step up and they will be interested in investing with you and partnering with you and helping you succeed. Because the only way to, as an investor, the only way to make more money is to do something with your money. You, as an investor, you cannot, if you have a pile of cash, you're going to put it under your mattress. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't really add to your wealth. And so savvy investors know that they have to constantly circulate their money, or, put it in use to a certain extent to do things. And so if they see something, when they see that somebody is being responsible by looking at profit and impact, then you become more aligned to receive that kind of investment dollars and other resources. There's other ways of funding your business.
Yeah, I was thinking about that I've often had the experience where someone steps in to offer something that was totally unexpected, just simply because I've opened myself to receive in that moment. And it's not necessarily from an investor, but it may be something in kind that I wouldn't have even have thought to ask for.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's funny too, just out of curiosity, like how, I love when that happens, and, I love manifesting those opportunities. But I also see that, when that happens, like sometimes like on a very, bigger level, like totally unexpected. And it could be almost overwhelming to the point where you're pushing it away. Like it's too good to be true, or, whatever. And I think that happens a lot too.
Well, it does, of course. And that's that whole being worthy of, and thinking I've been a big one in my life about thinking I have to do it myself.
Yes.
And then it's like, wait a minute, is that really true? And then, and realizing that I can't do it by myself. And when I allow the energy does have my back. And when I allow the energies to be there to help me, that manifests through someone so often. A particular person who says, oh, have you thought of this? Or, oh, would you come and teach that to my students or my company, or all of those kinds of ways.
That's great.
So when do you think a good time is to start thinking about funding? So you want to be profitable, you need some help.
I think, it's every business will need an infusion of capital at some point. And I think you're kidding yourself if you think you're not. And the best time to do that is right from the beginning. I highly, when I'm working with a client, even though we have an opportunity to get into sales, ideally in a business, you like to generate sales or, get into revenue as quickly as possible. So bootstrapping is a great example of that. When you start out small and then get some sales and grow, and then you kind of use your sales to grow your business. And every business should have a plan to do that. However, that will grow old really fast. So the best time to seek out capital resources is when you don't need it, because when you need it, that's actually when energetically you're cutting yourself off from the flow, because then you get into a whole other neediness and some anxiousness about it. And also it's the glow is gone a little bit. So, and if you have tarnished your credit anyway, or, maybe overextended yourself because you're just trying to make it go, it's a little more challenging to get the resources you need. So just like you would have a marketing and sales plan in your business, every business should have some type of capitalization or financing or funding plan, and create a blueprint right from the beginning. You don't need all the money all at once, but you should actually put some wheels in motion to have access so that you never miss a beat. Mm-hmm. The worst thing to do is, and you see this all the time, you get into momentum, you have things happening, and then all of a sudden there's a big demand for what you have, and you don't even have the money to meet the demand, and things start coming to a halt. It really whacks at your self-esteem, your confidence. Mm-hmm. Your stakeholders now lose confidence in you. You have to stop what you're doing to get the resources. That's just terrible for business. I mean, it happens, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Mm-hmm. And so that's the biggest thing that we see is when people, they're trying to make do without, and they're growing organically, which to me is like, I'm going to struggle my way to success. Like when I hear organic growth, I'm like, I have another a listening for it. But truly, I firmly believe that every business owner should look at, there's like at least 4 or 5 strategies mm-hmm. to have in place where they can be able to access funding when they need it as they're growing, because at some point you will. It just happens in business. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be successful, if you want to stay on mission, if you don't want to lose your momentum, then I recommend that people look at that from the beginning.
So how can they do that? What does someone do to look at getting that in place?
Well, you want to put some guidelines, some milestones or goalposts, what do we call it? Guardrails in place for yourself, because we have a tendency to self-fund initially, which is fine. Mm-hmm. So you may want to have a plan to get into revenue as quickly as possible. And by the way, not every business has the luxury of just stepping into revenue without infusion. Some people need to develop products, and they have a lot of research and ramping up. And there may be, I've had retail businesses, I've had online businesses. We have, so there's different enterprises. So it depends on your business, but ideally you want to be able to get into revenue as quickly. Mm-hmm. So you look at if you're coming in like self-funding, you definitely want to look at getting into revenue. Use that money to get into revenue as quickly as possible. Number 2, you have to do as much as possible to protect your personal credit and your personal resources. It's not wise to tap into your golden goose. Mm-hmm. You want to produce some golden eggs for your business, you have to protect your goose. And the goose is actually good credit, because you can really go a long way to leverage good credit. If you have cash reserves in your life, hold on to them, because you can actually do things to leverage your cash. Like, for instance, if you have cash in a bank, the bank actually will lend you money if you have cash in the bank. So it extends, it leverages, it compounds what you already have. Banks will not lend to you if you don't have money in the bank. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. So they will not lend to you when you need it. So you do it when so you protect your personal reserves, because you can always go back and leverage that. If you have a house and you have some equity, you want to protect that equity. You may want to use part of that, but make sure it doesn't deplete your reserves. You're not depleting your investment plans. You're not depleting your cash, and you're not ruining your credit. It's really important. Now, if you put all those goalposts or guideposts or guardrails. Thank you. Okay. If you put that in place, then after that, if your budget calls for more funding, then we have to look at, okay, let's line up some lines of business credit. Let's do a small business loan. You don't have to take down all this money right away, but you want to access that. You want to leverage your good credit. And this is getting into a lot of detail. I mean, I literally walk through this with people and put these things in place. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot. So just initially, the most important thing is protect your reserves and have some guardrails in place. Like, don't martyr yourself to your business. Don't deplete your personal finances, put your credit in jeopardy, do anything to lose your house. Protect that, because you can always go back and leverage that. Right. And then we can look at lines of credit, business credit. There's other community initiatives which will fund your business. There's other partners that can come in. You want to have maybe a pool of partner founders that can put some money in the pot, for down the road. It's just a lot of ways of doing that. And that will help you get to a good start. And then at the next milestone, when it's time to maybe bring in an infusion of capital, which we're not talking about venture capital. We're not talking about big, cold institutional funds. There are a lot of beautiful angel investors. There are people who have done very well. They've retired, they've sold their businesses, they've sold real estate, and they have money to invest. And they're looking to align, with new ventures, small businesses, and they will invest in you. So if you want to attract those people, then, protect yourself, do it smart. And you don't want to go to them when you're desperate and needy and all of that, because that energy repels
right.
money.
Of course it does.
But then they will have seen that you were fiscally responsible, that you, put guardrails in place and all that. And so you'll be able to get to that next level without losing momentum, and somebody then can step in and put an infusion of capital in your business. So there's at least half a dozen strategies that people can do right from the beginning to ensure that they protect their assets, protect their business, just be able to leverage a little more. Does that make sense?
It makes great sense. I mean, that's wonderful advice, Maria. And now taking all that very practical advice, I'm just thinking of the kind of jumping levels and looking at that from that expanded level. If everything is energy, and we are part of the energy, just like, something across the other side of the world, if we're part of everything, and we are through that universal field connected to everything, then it's not something we can ever do by ourselves. And even to think of it as doing it by ourselves doesn't even make any sense. And so it really taking into account and bringing other aspects in, other funding sources, other assistance, it's like you're opening up to the universe and again saying yes. So I'm part of this big collective, and it's my idea. It's what's come down to me to do in this world. But we don't do it alone,
right? Well, and a lot of entrepreneurs do. I know I've been very guilty of that in the past, because we get into there's like an isolation, place. Well, let me reframe that. When I became an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship was like, it was like, you're doing what? My family, I came from, background where you have to go to school and get a good job. I had a career, I had a very successful career, and then I left it, and they still have not reconciled that.
Of course.
To start my own businesses. And it wasn't, entrepreneurship was never in favor. It was looked down upon. But, entrepreneurs are the backbone of this country. We're the inventors and the creators. I mean, every big business that's out there started with an entrepreneurial idea. But it was never, I didn't have the role models, I didn't have the mentors, I didn't have that. So when I went into business, I just said, oh my God, like I felt like I didn't deserve it. Like I put myself into an isolated place. So I didn't seek out the help of mentors. I didn't understand that I could access funding for my business. I thought I had to be a martyr and sacrifice everything to make it go, so that I was worthy to, talk about this or down the road. And I didn't get that. No, you do that from the beginning. And now it's a lot. The conversation is different. Entrepreneurship is like, it's celebrated in a different way. And I had the good fortune of actually teaching, in school about it and all that. But the important thing is, and I think this is what adds to thinking about having impact in your business. When you're just in a business it's your little dream, or you just want to make some money, whatever, you do tend to contract as far as, not allowing a lot of people to show. However, when you really look outside yourself, and we all know this, when you plug into something greater than yourself, it drives you. You have a different energy. It's not about you. And that's the whole point. You want to make your business not about you. And that's why the bigger the impact that you look at making, the more attractive you will be to resources. You do become a money magnet and a magnet for profit. So get used to it. But that's, you're not looking at it's not about how much money I can make. It is about the impact, but you want to respect the profit potential as well. And it should go parallel. But I do know when you look at something bigger than yourself, when you focus on that, it does take on an energy of itself, and it will be driven for you. And you don't feel narcissistic about it. This is, it's you're not as attached to it. And I think that's emotionally, that's why we don't get needy or anxious at that point, because it's in service to something else.
Yeah.
Take it away from you. So,
and once you learn how to connect in to your own, what's yours to do.
Yeah.
You don't get afraid that your idea is going to be stolen. I've worked with a lot of people who get afraid. I've got to keep this really close, because if I even invite something else in or invite a resource in of some sort, maybe my idea will get stolen, or I have to rush because if I don't get to market right away, it's going to be happening, in Japan or Sweden or, somewhere else. And when we learn how to connect in with what is ours to do, we get to receive ideas that are already pre-programmed for us to do, because no one else can do it. It's your energy matrix. And then you light up as that beacon for the investors to step forward to.
Right. I've never done, I've been involved in various industries, and just because I wanted to have that experience in fashion. I've had the experience of retail. I entertainment. I'm loving entertainment right now. That's my glamorous side. And, so because there's a business skill set that I've learned and I use so I could take it to any business. So then it's just a matter of what would make me happy right now? Like, where do I want to play? And it's usually about learning something new. So the point is, though, and I forgot you were saying, so, oh my gosh, I lost the point. But in any industry, what were you just saying? I'm so sorry. I just lost my train of thought.
That happened. That was about receiving the what is yours to do.
Yes. So, and this is really important too, because I have never gone into an industry where I had like massive proprietary technology. I had unique ideas, or there was it wasn't like I had a heavily patented idea, invention. It was a concept to do something. And even though it was new or different or whatever, it was still something that was fairly out there. And I've had the same, initially I've had that concept. Oh, I can't, I have to keep it close and all that, but that doesn't really get you anywhere either. So you do have to reconcile. Look, people will, if there's something that needs to get done, I believe God's going to sprinkle those ideas down to multiple people, and it's how you show up for it. There may be people taking your ideas out, and personally, I've had products that I've seen selling. Somebody was like selling my products in China, so we've had things done. It's okay. It's going to happen.
Yeah. But
it's the way you do it. And it's the way you mobilize your team. And then, it's the way you market it. So it's how you take your idea. So yeah, that's a kind of a bit of a misnomer for people, to think that they have to keep it so private and so close to the chest. It's not going to get done that way. So there has to be a way for you to express it, so that you can bring in the right team, bring in the right resources, bring in the right plan, and get it done your way. Now, the other part of that is, and this is the beauty of collaboration, because we do still live in a competitive society, but if you really want to take it to another level, you look at who is doing what you're doing and you find ways to collaborate.
Yes.
And that takes you to a whole new level. So instead of being, competitive with people, you figure out how to collaborate.
And that for me is more fun than anything. I love to collaborate because you've got, multiple views and multiple really energy matrices that are coming together to create something completely different. I
don't create my own businesses anymore. Well, that's how actually I got into consulting, because, I have a business that I grew and sold, and it's like, okay, that was fun. But I enjoy more supporting other people in doing their dreams and sharing my talents and my skills and, bringing resources to the table. And so I do enjoy, it's much more fun to create in a collaborative environment with different people who share a dream. That's the fun, because it's about the journey. It's not, I've been to a place where I've, taken an idea, I've created a business, I've grown it, I've sold it. I've stepped back in Macy's and Bloomingdale's and watched my products being sold. I've, looked at people enjoying, venues that I was part of. So I've had that experience. It's a beautiful experience. But that's like, okay, now what? You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
It is that journey, that fun that you have. And the fun
expanding. And you've moved to a new level and you can't keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. So it's much more fun in service and collaboration with others.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you will know this, I think, because you're working with investors. I mean, you've got both sides of that, the entrepreneurs and the investors. So what is a conscious investor looking for? Well,
it's funny because when I speak, we get pitched a lot and people come to me and may have the best ideas. And I love their ideas and I love the person. But then I get into nitty gritty, like, okay, so tell me about the numbers. What are your revenue projections, or what about this? And then they kind of shy away from that. It's like, oh, I don't focus on that. It's like, and they don't. It's such a disconnect, for me. So conscious investors work hard for their money. Mm-hmm. They, it's not just because you can write a big check doesn't mean you want to or will. But you have to respect the fact that people do work hard for what they have, and it's a privilege and honor for it to partner with them to have it circulated back into you. So they are looking for leaders. So you really want to be, you want to be as responsible you can as a leader. So you really want to understand where your gaps are. Meaning you understand where your business is going and what you know and what you don't know, and you're willing to bring a team together. So that's so important. Are you coachable? Are you trainable? I think that's one of the biggest deal killers is the leader, because you're driving the ship. Number one. Number two, they do want to look at good business models that have the ability to scale and grow and create a profit. They do want to see that you have there's a potential for philanthropy, lots of impact. There's plenty of ways to incorporate that into your business, and that's great. And they want to see it, but they also want to see how you're going to make money, how you can scale, because it can't just be about you. You have to be able to scale your entity, and because ultimately there has to be what we call an exit strategy. So you have to know how you're going to pay your investors back.
Yeah.
And often conscious investors will work with you. And it's really beautiful because not all money is your money. And so it's really just like in a romantic dance that we do with another partner, we have to make sure there's alignment that, do I want to sleep with this person? Do I want to, is there a long-term relationship? Because that will be a long-term relationship. And the thing about conscious investors is if they invest in you, generally they want to have fun. They love what you're doing, and they're going to help you be successful. And so you want to look for that, those kind of people. I mean, they don't want another job, but they will be there for you. Mm-hmm. So you cannot hide from them. They will be in your life for years. And so you want to be responsible by not just focusing on the good you're going to do, but how you're going to be a good steward of their money. Yeah. And that's still a disconnect I find with people who tend to be more conscious, and they have more the beautiful ideas and concepts and things they want to do, but they're not focused on the profit and making money. And that's fun too. That's actually, that doesn't disconnect you from the joy and from, doing good things. That means that you will get to do more good things, because you are focusing on that. But conscious investors are very focused on making money. You have to be able to show that you're going to have a return, and you're doing good things, and you're a pretty good person. That's really critical.
But I love that you will get to do even more good things. I love how you say that. Yeah. You want to be able to scale and grow your business. They have to see that you can serve the world, eventually, or you can sell your business. And I mean, they really want to see that. And you don't have to change the world with your business, but even if you're like hyper local, even if it's like a real estate transaction, there has to be some out for them. And it's actually fairly easy to do. I love doing that. I love looking at a really good idea to serve the community
make the world a better place, and then also how to make it profitable. And when you look at that, that's, to me, that becomes sustainable because you don't run out of resources, right? And you're not begging for dollars, and you're not going to let people down the road because you just don't have the capacity to serve them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. So 2 quick questions. Well, one may not be so quick. And that is, tell us about becoming a dame.
Oh, that was such an honor. We were asked, we were appointed or nominated for that. And it's a beautiful order that goes back. It's the Order of St. John. It used to be the Order of St. John Hospitalier. It's an ancient order, so much like the Templars, where the Templars were in protection. The Hospitalier was more in service, and they would, take care of the migrants or, people traveling and all that. And I think that's where hospitality came from and all that. So so it's a beautiful order, and it's really supports humanitarian and good deeds on the planet. And so people are asked to, when you're awarded that, and there's a beautiful countess, Countess Tatiana. She's a Russian countess, and she knighted us. So it was a whole beautiful ceremony and all the pomp and circumstance. But you kind of take a vow of supporting people, supporting the planet, being part of humanity. And so, it's an honor. It's just a private, something we celebrate more privately, but it's quite an honor, and we take it really seriously. So we're always looking at how can we serve humanity and uplift consciousness and all of that. I mean, I committed to that as my legacy work going forward. So I use vehicles, business as a platform for that. That's why we love media, because media, we can create, transformational media. We can put light on dark subject in a movie or a TV show or something like that. And so that's kind of our way of uplifting consciousness.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing about that, because that's something that I'm sure our audience will be curious about too. And
thank you.
That we each can contribute, whether we get knighted or not.
Absolutely.
We have that ability to contribute to the well-being of the planet.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, and we talk about, you hear a lot about going global, which is great. I mean, the world is shrinking, and it's easy to go global, or go big, go home. But honestly, I think, right now, when you focus on being hyper local, if you just really look at serving your immediate community, you are in effect changing the world. There's quite a ripple effect. And we get inundated. I think people get overwhelmed and inundated by all the things they have to do to make it big and go global and all that. But, it's so, if you look at, hyper local and growing that way and serving the community, it's amazing, the ripple effect. Yeah. So I encourage people to look at that as well. Don't neglect your local communities.
Yeah, truly. And Maria, if someone wants to be in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, I'm going to give a direct email address. You can, because I would, if somebody wants to have, because this is an important conversation, I want to support businesses who, are serving the planet or desiring to make an impact on the planet. And my gift is to look at, where they can access the resources for that. So if they would like to have a consultation around that, you can send a direct email to my office at maria@zmcmedia.com.
ZMCmedia.com.
ZenMooseCapitalMedia.com. So ZMCmedia.com. So if they would like a direct connection and schedule a consultation for funding, and this is just complimentary, and I just give them some resources to go to, they can do it that way. They can always go to our website at ZenMooseCapital.com, although that's undergoing kind of a rebranding and overhaul. So there's not, we've been under the radar for a while. So we're about to come out more. And of course, on Facebook at Maria Simone. Okay. You can just connect with me there. So I appreciate it.
Great. Well, it's always wonderful for our audience to be able to know how to reach you directly. So thank you. So any last bit of wisdom or illumination for our audience?
There's so many resources out there circulating for all of us as business owners. And I think, and this is a great time to start or grow a project. There are so many people that would love to support you. And so if you're a business owner, if you're starting a project or you're growing an existing business and you're struggling in any way, one of the things I would really look at is take a deep breath and take a step back. And it's, really look at, am I allowing support to show up? Am I asking for help? Am I asking and then allowing, receiving the support that I need? So consider, just asking people to support you, to help you, to be your mentor, to be in your advisory team. So get the expertise that you need if you're feeling confused or you're not making the best decisions. And also know there's a lot of financial resources out there for you. So if you're struggling in your business, don't overlook that. Don't keep driving your car in an empty tank. Take some time to get the resources you need. Just the thought that you deserve it and that you're open to it actually starts triggering, the alignment of it. And as you said, things start showing up, but we don't always open up to that. But we need to open up to that more, I think. So those are two big things: people and resources. And the other thing is, as you're stepping into greater levels of your business, I always say you want to expand your capacity, to receive and to become the person you want to be. So if you're looking for a romantic relationship, you want to become the person to attract that romantic. So if you're looking to get to another level in business, to attract partners, to attract money, become the CEO that's serious about growing their business as a thriving, profitable entity that's going to serve many people for years to come. Step into that and own that. And that awareness creates such a profound shift, in your life. And you'll start manifesting the resources that you need and the people and all of that. So that's my advice. Wherever you are, just take a look at that. And,
that's wonderful. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for being such a generous guest, sharing all of your wisdom and your resources and, your creative ideas for helping people grow what they want to grow and are passionate about.
Thanks, Lori. I appreciate it. I love the work that you're doing as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for our listening and viewing audience for being with us today at Wisdom Talk Radio. Join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination. Remember, you can find us on your favorite place to listen to podcasts, whatever it may be. And if you've enjoyed listening today, leave us a review so more people can become inspired. And for more about accessing your own creative intelligence and inner direction, find me, Laurie Seymour, over at thebakajourney.com. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.